Hey guys, it's Jen and I'm here with my September wrap up for you guys. So finally making this video. It's taken me a long time to get around to it. So in the month of September I read a total of 8 books, so I'm pretty happy with that. That's quite a few books for me considering I've been kind of still in that little mood that I've been in. So a lot of the books that I read in the month of September were audiobooks. For the most part, I think a lot of them I listen to, even though I have some copies of a couple of them here, but for the most part I listened to, I think, 6 of them, 6 of the 8 books. So the first book that I listened to was Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. It is the second book in the Farseer trilogy. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 out of 5. And right now I'm listening to the third and final book in the series, so I need to find out how it's all going to end because there's a lot of stuff going on in that book. I don't really want to talk about it because it's the second book in a series and I don't want to spoil anyone for the first book if you haven't read it. But I will just let you guys know that it is an epic fantasy trilogy, and I have tried Robin Hobb before and didn't really enjoy her books, but if you were going to start out reading her books, I would definitely suggest starting out with the Farseer trilogy because it is a good one to get used to her writing style in. So the second book that I read in the month of September was The Magician King by Lev Grossman. I also gave this one 4 out of 5. I listened to it on audiobook. Again, I don't want to go into a whole lot of details because it is the second book in the series. It is another high fantasy book and I really enjoyed it. I read the first book in August and I needed to start with the second book as soon as possible. My library doesn't carry the third book in audiobook, so I don't know when I'll be getting to read that one because I'd like to continue with the audiobook because I really enjoy the narrator for these ones. So I don't know, I guess we'll see. If I can't find it, they do have the ebooks, so I will read it eventually one way or another. The third book that I read in the month of September was a reread, and that is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I read this one for my September book club and everyone absolutely loved this one. This was my pick because even though I read it, I wanted to make everyone else read it. So everyone else read it and loved it, and I'm glad I chose it. I did warn them. We did warn them at the beginning of the month that if they wanted to read it, they might want to pick up the second book because the second book was even better. So a lot of them read the second book already as well and loved it and had like a complete 180 on some of the characters that they enjoyed in the second book, because if you've read both of them, you know there's one character who, well, I liked him in this book by the beginning of the second book before I'm even like 50 pages in, hated him. So that one, of course, was 5 out of 5 stars from me because A Court of Thorns and Roses, come on. The next couple of books that I read are ones that I've been waiting since like 2012 to read. Like I've owned this next book since 2012 and I haven't read it. But, well, I hadn't read it. So now I have. And that is Across the Universe by Beth Revis. I gave this one 4.5 out of 5. I really need to read the next book. I don't have it yet, so I don't know when I will get around to it, but now I can finally understand why everyone was talking about this series way back in 2012. So this one, if you don't know, is a science fiction series. The main character is Amy. She's cryogenically frozen and unthawed before she is supposed to be unthawed. There's a lot of stuff going on in this ship that she's on, traveling to a new planet, because the people of Earth discovered a new planet and they want to send people there to live on it. And their goal is for them to get there in 300 years, but there's a lot going on, so it's very interesting. I will be definitely continuing on with this series. Next book that I read was Legend by Marie Lu. Again, another series that I have been wanting to read forever, and there was so much hype around it at the time. I've read Marie Lu's other series, the Young Elites, and really enjoyed it, so I thought I should give Legend a try. I gave it 4 to 5 stars, really enjoyed it. I have already listened to the second book, and I put the third book on hold at my library, so I should have that series finished soon. But I'm really enjoying it, and I missed the dystopian setting because I love dystopia and I haven't read one in a long time, so I'm glad to have read this one. The next book that I read is Out of the Easy by Ruta Sepetys. This is the last Ruta Sepetys book that I haven't read. I think it's the last one that she has published that I hadn't read, so I've now read all of her books. I gave it 4 to 5. It was a great read. It is based in New Orleans in 1950. The main character's name is Josie, and her mom is a prostitute, and her mom's not really a nice person at all. She has bad taste in men, and it was a great story seeing her trying to get out of that situation with like all the bias that people put on her because her mom is a prostitute, and they know that her mom is a prostitute, so she is looked down upon, even though she is not one herself, but everyone expects her to go that way. So it was a great read. It's historical fiction. I love historical fiction, and I will pretty much read anything that Ruta Sepetys writes from now on. The next book that I read is another one from 2012, and that is Delirium by Lauren Oliver. So I've also had this book since 2012, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 to 5. Most of the books that I read this month I gave 4 to 5. I read a lot of good books. Again, this is a dystopia. I love dystopians, and it was really great to finally find out what everyone was talking about for this book. Essentially, love is a disease that everyone needs to be cured from because love makes people irrational, and the government doesn't want people to be irrational, so it was really good. I'm going to be continuing on with it. I don't have the second book yet, so someday I will continue on with this, hopefully sooner rather than later. And the final book that I read in the month of September is The Problem with Forever by Jennifer Armentrout. I read this one as an ebook, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. This book was really emotional. It follows a girl who had a very bad experience in the foster system. I myself have been in foster care. Growing up, I was in foster care a few times. Luckily, we always got to go back to my mom. It wasn't her fault that we went. It's just she had really bad taste in men, and they were abusive, and that's kind of why we had to go. But one of the places that we were wasn't very good, so I was able to really connect with the character. Like, I wasn't bad to the point that hers is, because she has a lot of conditioning. She was there in that house for so long, like a decade, and from a young age till she got hurt quite badly. So it's something I was able to feel a lot of empathy for her, and this book gave me a lot of feelings. But I really enjoyed it. It was my first time trying one of Jennifer Armentrout's books. I've heard such amazing things about her books over the years, and I really wanted to read one of her books, so I'm glad that I started with this one because it was really good. So yeah, those are the 8 books that I read in the month of September. Let me know down below if you've read any of them. I'm sure that by now, with how long some of these books have been out, that you've probably read one of them, or at least heard about one of them. So let me know down below what you thought of it, and if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!